Hello, everyone, and welcome back to part two of Hobonichi season. In today's video, we are actually going to be talking about how to actually prep for Hobonichi season, how to prep for planner season in general. So while we're still going to be chatting a little bit more about Hobonichis, but I really wanted to kind of give you some of my tips of how we can actually prep for planner season and not get caught up in all the things, because when you reflect, certain things can come up. So if you would like to just kind of see like what is coming up for Hobonichi season, how I'm planning on prepping for it, then you have come to the right place. Now, without wasting any more time, let's just get started. So here's what we're going to be covering in today's video. We're actually going to be talking a little bit about how my planner setup has shifted with regards to Hobonichi. And I will tell you what stayed for this year for 2025 and then what kind of took more of a backseat. What I'm actually planning on getting with this new release for 2026. I will share sort of my approach moving into planner season. I will talk to you more about some practical tips so that you don't end up overbuying and over consuming when you really don't need to. And we will kind of close it all up with what my overview is of like the actual planner community and where we're at currently as a whole, as we're diving into September and into essentially planner seasons. And of course, if we have never met and this is the first time that we're meeting, well, hello. I'm so glad that you're here. My name is Meshi and I'm the person behind Align Plans. We talk about anything and everything: minimalist planning, journaling, stationery, especially Japanese stationery. And the whole idea of this channel is to kind of help you figure out what works for you, kind of put them into in a way that you end up enjoying the things rather than just over consuming them and then they end up collecting dust. So if that's your vibe and you love stationery and journaling, then make sure that you subscribe to the channel if you haven't had a chance to just yet. So first, let's kind of talk about like where I'm at with my Hobonichi planner. So obviously you see two planners in front of me. Here we go, and you're in focus. So obviously we have the Hobonichi Weeks. I actually have another Hobonichi Weeks, but I didn't bring it to camera because I ended up giving it to my daughter. So even though I bought it, but it was intended for her, so I really didn't want to include that into this review. But we have the Hobonichi Weeks. As you can tell, this is the regular size. It's not the mega. I believe this is the Japanese version. So that just means that the writing in the bottom and pretty much everywhere is all in Japanese. It's not in English. I didn't want to stick with the English one. I don't know. It just didn't feel right. You know what I mean? Even though it would be kind of nice to be able to like translate everything, but it's honestly, it's kind of like an oldie but a goodie. I kind of just stick with the same thing when it comes to Hobonichi Weeks. So initially we kind of started out with basically making this as like my on-the-go planner. So sometimes I would use the monthly, but really the monthly didn't really make much of a difference for me. I kind of briefly, like around April, I kind of started shifting it a little bit more towards content scheduler essentially. But that quickly changed because I ended up using like a 2-booklet system from Midori where one outlines videos and then the other one kind of schedules them in. So I didn't really end up using the monthly for anything. And then as of right now, like moving into July, I still try to use this as a content scheduler. I gave up on that. Honestly, that's not really what this is going to be used for. And then for the way that this planner was actually really shining for me was in the weeklies, and I kind of stayed really consistent with the way that I was using this from like December onwards. And it's really similar to how I was actually using it last year, which is basically just writing in like all the appointments and things that came up, a little bit of micro journaling, not a whole lot, and then just using the right side of the page very functionally. But I still love like adding some decor. As you can tell, like I use this inner column for usually picking like the word of the week, which I really love doing, by the way. Like I don't see myself kind of changing that. I think that that's so fun just because it stands out so much, and it's fun how like each week I pick something different. So, I see myself continuing on doing that. I think that it's just a unique way of kind of utilizing my stencils. But then fast forward to about June to July, I kind of stopped using the planner almost completely just because I shifted far more into the traveler's notebook than anything else as an on-the-go system, and it really felt redundant for me to use the Hobonichi Weeks plus the traveler's notebook passport as an on-the-go system. It did not make any sense when I can just easily just use one over the other. And so now where we're at, fast forward again to end of August, or like mid-August to right now. And I'm currently using this more as an online business scheduling tool that kind of organizes not only ideas, but then actions that's also somewhat connected to social, but it's not a social media content calendar. So if that makes sense. So I'm planning on releasing and launching my first Etsy shop ever. Stay tuned for that. But so I'm very much in the creation mode right now where I'm creating products, I'm editing them, doing all the things. And so I created like a little color coding of like what tasks need to be done and when. I'm kind of using the tables here. I've created some tables where I'm kind of listing out the products that I want to create and then adding like a date of when I actually want to launch it. And then I have like a brain dump section and a to-do section. And then of course, next week of like what needs to kind of follow through in next week. So this is a totally different way of me using it. And literally all it is just me changing the function of the planner from like day to day, make sure that you pick up the dogs and take them to the vet or take them to the groomer, to really specifically just using them online. Now, the other thing that is also changed, obviously, is the note section, because in the back, I was using this more as like a daily log, essentially, more as a bullet journal style, rather than like, okay, here's a full page of just brain dump and put them all into structure and schedule. So I think I showed you this like in the last couple of videos that I have filmed, where I would create like, okay, here's an overview with time lapse of like, what the date is when I would like to launch things. Created like a full product tracker. So this is using it in such a different way than how I'm used to using the Hobonichi Weeks. But I have to say, like, it does work for what I'm using it for. So I'm going to continue to use that. So moving into 2026, I think I'm still going to go back to the Hobonichi Weeks. I still really like this for what I'm using it for. But I'm also not in like this massive rush of buying it. Anyway, I'll share a little bit more about like what the plan is, but let's talk a little bit more. So this is it about Hobonichi Weeks. Now, the other thing that I also got for 2025 that I thought that I would continue on with, because that's just what kind of makes sense, is the Hobonichi Han. I had this last year as well. This is the hardcover cousin, essentially. This is in an A5 size, if you're not familiar. And I really love the cover. I think I had a hard time with like leaving the cover behind, but truth be told, I did not really use this planner at all. And it was great at the very beginning when I initially set out to set things up for the year. And so what we're going to do today is essentially, while I'm talking to you, and I will show you a few pictures, towards the end, we'll actually set up a page together while we're chatting of still how I feel about it. Because for me to precisely say I will never buy this planner again, I would have to give it at least a chance for me to journal and use it a little bit. So I'm planning on kind of using this until the end of the year, just so that there's like a bit of memory keeping that's happening. Because I really do like this larger page for dailies. But I also find that sometimes like I get caught up in this idea of really enjoy using something when I'm using them, but then I'm not structuring my day when I can create that large pocket of time. In my mind, it's a large pocket of time where I can just like journal for like an hour. I can create smaller pockets of time, like 15 to 20 minutes here and there, but it's really rare, especially in the evenings where I'm kind of winding down, where I'm going to be uninterrupted for like a full hour. You know what I mean? So like, I think I need to, as much as like my dream version of me would love to fully do like large creative spreads, but I also know that that's not the chapter of my life that I'm in right now. So I think that it's really nice that I can get the tool and I can reflect on it and understand like what I enjoy about it, and still know like, okay, let's weigh in the options of does it actually make sense over the long term? So what I ended up actually getting, because I realized that this might be a little bit too large for me for this year, I ended up actually getting, still using the same concept that what I was going to use this for, which is sort of family memory keeping and just general memory keeping. I really wanted to try out the Take a Note. So this Take a Note planner is in a B6 size instead of the A5, and still not using the notes as much as I should. I mean, I think the last time I wrote in there was like May. Okay, beginning of June. Great job. I'm actually pretty consistent more with the weeklies, and because the weekly layout works a little bit better for me, I like that you have a top section and then you have a bottom section. It already creates that sub-segmentation on the page for me where the layout is different. I also appreciated the fact that the paper quality was different than what it is here in the Hobonichi. Even just as I'm looking at this, I already see that it's ghosting its own ink. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm going to use this so that I'm kind of confirming my decision. I obviously have to say that I appreciate the size. I appreciate that if I have a half finished spread, it's not the biggest deal. I do have some things that I skipped here as well, but I've been trying my best to stay fairly consistent, especially from like the beginning, as you have like a million pages that are skipped. But no, like right around here, like I find that like it's enough space for me to kind of write actual important moments. Or if I want to write more, then I kind of split it up between the different pens, and then I'm kind of journaling about the journaling, if that makes sense. So like I would write in like an event that's happening, and then I would kind of write like little segments where like how I felt about it. Not too much. I don't know. Like I don't know what I was thinking there. But anyways, I'm not really gonna go through like the full flip through. If you want to see it or talk more about how, if I'm gonna be going back into the Take a Note, let me know in the comments. I would love to film that for you. But that was sort of like my thing, that if I'm looking at the weekly here, I totally get why most people kind of get overwhelmed by this, and because like it is a lot, it's a lot of space to kind of fill. So it's going to be interesting for me to see like how I feel journaling in this for like a month versus how I feel journaling in the Take a Note in comparison. But that was sort of like my thing, that I don't even know why I didn't just dive into this. But looking back in like January, February, like my life was just in such a hectic place that honestly, I was able to hang on to bare bones with my schedule. So there's that. But so if you feel like you have planners and journals that you kind of bought initially and then you're sort of like, what was I thinking? Just know that you're not alone. Like we all kind of make those decisions as well. And then when we reflect on it, then we kind of course correct. Because like the idea is that is there as feedback, not necessarily like an invitation for you to just beat yourself up. So that's all I wanted to say about that. But actually, I'm going to keep it open because we're going to journal in a second. But let's talk a little bit about what is happening with the new releases with Hobonichi. So let's talk strategy. What is the strategy? I know that on the 1st, or in North America, it's going to be the 31st in the evening, where everything kind of, the floodgates open, and then we can just kind of rock with it and start buying all things Hobonichi. Now, there's a few things that I think would make sense to actually get directly from Hobonichi, because you might have a harder time finding it in actual retail stores. Obviously, if you're like lusting for the little toy, the exclusive toy and the pen each year, then definitely get your order through Hobonichi. Do I think that you need to get your order in right at September 1st? Like, do I think that there has to be that big of a pressure as what is seeming to go through the planner community each year, with the deadline of September 1st? You have your stuff figured out and ready to go. I personally don't think that you need to put that much pressure on yourself. And I think a lot of people have mentioned this even in my previous video as well, where yes, like you should be aware like when things launch, if that's what you're interested in, which gives you some time to kind of review your current stash and review like what's working for you. But I don't think that you need to put that level of pressure on yourself where you need to buy it right on September 1st, and you better stay up late, and you know what I mean? Like you better have like your credit card at hand at 10 p.m. Right when it launches, because I think that that's just seeming hype. That's just, you know, it's just something, it's like an invisible pressure that we have created that just kind of hypes up the product. Yeah, like, are their products great? For sure they are. But I don't think that we need to put that level of pressure on ourselves that, like, hey, is it okay if like you buy it in like November? Totally fine. You're still not going to be able to use it until December at the earliest anyway, or like last week of November. So there's like really no point for you to feel this pressured. Right now, I think for most of us, we should be in more like review mode to see like, okay, what do we want and what works for us? And I think that right now, the next 2-3 months, we're going to be spending some time in reflection mode. That's kind of what I think. Now, having said all of that, if there's certain specific things that you're finding that you're not finding them with other retailers, then obviously go to Hobonichi's website and buy it. Obviously, like that to me makes sense. The other thing that I wanted to tell you, so my approach will be obviously to kind of see like what's happening, what's available. I do have a couple of covers and a couple of planners that I would love to get for 2026. A couple of notebooks. I think I'm actually going heavier into the accessories than the planners this year, just because I think that they make them look so cute. I'm talking specifically about Moomin. They have like a whole like notebook series that I think would be really cute, and notebooks you can kind of use them a little bit more flexibly than the way that you would use a planner. So I'm going to have like my little wish list, and then I'm going to kind of go through like, okay, is it worth it for me to buy it like early September, or is it worth it for me to just kind of wait? But I'm in no massive rush where like everything needs to be ordered immediately and you need to see the unboxing like as of, you know, second week of September. I don't really feel like that. So there is that. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention, just like these are just more just my seasonal tips, or like, I guess, practical planner tips. So when it comes to practicality, as I'm getting started with this, when it comes to that, I think what happens is one thing that you should definitely figure out when it comes to your own planner system of just see what works for you, right? See what structure works for you, what system, what sizing. Like figuring that out will help you so much, because then you're not going to end up with like, oh my gosh, like why did I buy an A5 size planner when that's not really what I need, right? So there's going to be that part of it. And then figure out like the type of paper that you prefer or that you naturally gravitate to. Is it white paper? Is it cream color paper? Does it have to be Tomo River paper? So like figuring like the basic structures out will help you quite a bit. And then moving into like just reflecting back on the past year of what you were using versus, you know, what you're planning on like switching things out with. So hopefully that makes sense. Obviously, be aware of your budget and know sort of how much you want to spend, because otherwise you're kind of risking overspending for the sake of overspending. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just like it's really easy to lose a sense of control when you're being influenced by all the shiny things. And I mean, for the next 3 months, it's going to be true with every single planner company. Obviously, because they want to show you all the things that they have available. Everything is going to be like in limited quantities, which is it though? You know what I mean? I don't know. But at the same time, like if certain covers or certain styles really draw you in, then also don't sit on it and then get upset that they sold out. So you kind of have to discern for yourself on that. Being flexible as to where you get your stuff from, that's going to be a big one. I thought I would buy everything off of Hobonichi last year, and I actually ended up getting everything off of Jet Pens because all the covers that I wanted, they had it, versus Hobonichi sold out, and then it took forever for them to restock. So just having things like that in the back of your head will make things so much easier. Oh, the other thing that I wanted to mention, which is kind of what I'm doing right now as we speak, is basically looking at your current stash, whether it's your Hobonichi, whether it's your Midori planner, whether it's whatever it is, and see how you can actually, wow, I can't write and talk at the same time. This is so challenging. Hang on, let me write some of this in and then we can decorate it. Okay, I can tell you this right now. I can already tell you this right now. I just wrote like a couple of things for agenda and I already started to see feathering. So I see what, I know that this would probably annoy me into next year. So this is sort of where I'm at right now. Like, I will show you a couple of pictures of what I'm planning on buying moving into next year. But like I said, it's mainly going to be accessories. It's not really going to be, you know, like, let me buy like 5 planners for the sake of 5 planners and then we'll find a function for it. I don't see myself doing any of that. I don't think that it's necessary, and I think that it just ultimately it sends the wrong message, and that's not really kind of what my channel was about to begin with anyway. But more importantly, I'm here for the vibe. I'm here for, you know, making planning and journaling and all of that stuff fun without feeling like you need to feel guilty about it. So that's one thing that I wanted to really talk about, is that you need to have, you need to kind of use your own discernment, but don't allow, I want you to let go. This is just a side note that's speaking on influencing in general, because I know that you're probably going to see a lot of videos right now talking about like how great Hobonichi is and how planner season is starting and all of that good stuff, which I think is valid, because obviously if we're making planner content, we want to kind of do that in an informative way where you kind of know what to expect and why it would make sense for you to get it, or if the products are good or not. But then after that, it's going to be up to you to use your own discernment of what makes sense for you, which is no different than if you're watching like a skincare routine and you're looking at like all of the skincare products to try to figure out like, does that actually work for you or not, right? Like, it's no different. But I will say this, don't let people make you feel guilty for liking certain things, right? That plus, if things make you happy, let go of the shame and the guilt for liking them. Like, that's the whole point. Like, this is supposed to be fun, and it's supposed to be something that you get because it brings you a sense of joy, not something that you allow others to make you feel guilty about, right? But at the same time, like, just know your own limit. Like, if you're over consuming, then you're probably going to be over consuming in other categories of your life as well. It's not just going to be planners. It usually seeps into other areas of your life as well. And then it's just, it's good to bring awareness to that and then be like, okay, why do I feel like I need to buy 20 planners each year? Right? Like, why do I feel like that needs to be my norm? And am I actually utilizing for it to the best of its capability? And if the answer is no, then right, then that's when we're going to have to start reflecting and figuring out, okay, why is that? Why is it that I constantly feel like I need to over purchase and over consume? Is it that like they inspire me so much, or am I just really missing something? Because half the time you're just missing something, but it's not, maybe you're missing connection, or you're missing, you know, more excitement in your life, and this brings you that excitement, right? So I'm not here to psychoanalyze people's behavior, but I'm just saying that don't make people make you feel guilty about loving the things that you love, but then also don't overdo it to a point where you look back with a sense of regret, right? And then basically just allow your own discernment to come in over the influence. But yeah, I think that was it. I feel like I'm hitting all the points today. But I also think that planner season is fun. I think that it allows both the inner work and then the outer work of just like buying new shiny things. It allows like both kind of collide together, which is lots of fun. But then it's also, it's an interesting way to kind of close out the year, because even though we're closing out the year in December, but I also think that it's an interesting time for us to reflect on our habits and just kind of see like what works for us and what doesn't work for us. By the way, there's no rhyme or reason of what I'm doing right now. I'm literally just enjoying using my own stash, which is always so much fun. Does this spread make sense? Probably not, but in my mind, it makes perfect sense, and literally that's all that matters. And I think that that's kind of half the fun. Oh, you know what I usually do? I usually do this, and I haven't done this in like so long. Let me see if I can find the right pen for it. Okay, we listen and we don't judge. And I don't want anyone in my comment section being like, well, your hand lettering sucks. I don't care. I don't care. You can judge it all you want. It's probably not going to be great, but that's okay. That's okay. Yay. Yay me. Okay. This is basically all I wanted to share with you. This looks fun, and I will fill out the rest, obviously. This is all I want to share with you. I hope that you have enjoyed this video, and I hope that you have enjoyed this micro journaling session that nobody asked for. I would love to know. I'm going to put it here. Here's your question of the day. Let me know what's on your wish list, if there's anything from Hobonichi. Are you planning on buying Hobonichi? Just share with me, like, what is one thing that's on your Hobonichi wish list. I would love to kind of hype you up and say hello and share the fun of enjoying planners together. And once again, thank you so much for watching, you guys. I really appreciate you guys being here and hanging out with me. And just keep planning, keep journaling, keep doing all the things. And I cannot wait to see you in my next video. Bye.